Okay, now we are on to part two of spring cleaning your career, and this is the warm fuzzy one where we're going to talk about people you like and people you admire. You're going to make three lists. You're going to do people you've already worked with, friends and acquaintances, or even, that you've only worked with professionally. You are going to make a list of your friends and acquaintances, people that are accessible to you that you haven't worked with yet, but think maybe you should. And the last list is going to be people you admire. Now, of course, we are going to drill down into each of these lists. So, for the people you've already worked with, think about what you did together and what worked well and where there were points of frictions. And what are some skills that they brought to the table that you don't have or that complemented you, and vice versa. For your friends and acquaintances that you haven't worked with yet, why not? Are you worried there's some friction or that your temperaments are better as friends than as coworkers? And that's a good thing to know because let's not ruin a friendship over work, right? Then make a list of projects, and I don't necessarily want to say dream projects because that feels very lofty, but just projects you'd want to work on together with these folks. Projects that maybe you couldn't do on your own, but if you had their help, you'd be able to accomplish. And, not just one person, make your own Avengers, man. Now for the people you admire. Write down specifically why you admire them, and not just because they're successful. That's not a reason. Why are they successful? What do you like about it? Is it that they are prodigious writers? Is it that they have fantastic presence and charisma? Is it that they're good at marketing or the business side of thing? Is it that, they've stayed true to themselves and found success that way, which we all know is like real tough. And then for the people you admire, if you had half an hour to ask them any set of questions, like 3 to 5 specific questions, what would those questions be? Okay, and then this time the list itself is not the full task. Now we're on to the task part. You want to look at those projects you came up with all of those people, and are there any surprises? Is there anything on there that's sort of been in your heart and you didn't write down on your priority list last week, or that you didn't include because it wasn't a purely self-sufficient project? So if there's anything new on this list, add it into your priority squares. And also take a look at those priority squares with this list in mind. Does it move around how important or how fun and enjoyable any of the things already on your list might be? So now I am going to challenge you to take a risk and get outside of your comfort zone. I want you to think about all the people that you haven't worked with yet or haven't worked with again, and the people that you admire. Why haven't you approached them for help or knowledge? Is it because it feels just overwhelming and you don't know where to start? Does it feel awkward? I feel like it's mostly because it feels awkward. Like you might think, oh, they're too big time for me or they're too busy, but you don't know until you ask. There are so many people in this business that are so generous with their time and with their knowledge, and they love the art, and if they see that you love the art and you're coming at them respectfully with useful questions, they will be more than happy to spend some time and share some wisdom with you. But I do want to say, useful questions. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people achieve something and get bombarded with, how did you do that, questions, and they're both vague and unhelpful and also kind of rude. It really disrespects the work that this person put into getting where they are, that you're asking basically for the magic button. And also, that's like a thing to think about. Why would you assume it's easier for someone else than it is for you? They had to work just as hard as you're having to work to get there. So keep that in mind when you are preparing questions to ask someone. And if it is that you just don't even know where to start on this project, whether it be a special or a podcast or a newsletter or whatever, just be honest about that. Be like, that is cool. I like that thing you do. I don't even know how to start. But if you do have some knowledge of things, for example, an album or a special, you know what goes into that in broad senses. You have to have an hour of material. You have to work it out. You have to find a place to record. So drill down into those specific questions like, hey, how much did it cost you in terms of the venue and the crew, or something like that? That's a useful, helpful question that can be pretty easily answered in a quick amount of time, and it also doesn't, diminish what that person has done. I also want to pick up on this sort of fallacy that somehow it's easier for other people than it is for you. It's not. Yes, there's a few people who find a cheat code or get a really lucky break and go to the front of the line, but that's like a very small number of people. There's something weird about comedians' brains where Occam's razor no longer applies. I hear so many oversimplified explanations of so and so obviously got this because of this that are just way off base. And again, kind of disregard all of the work that goes into everything and all of the stuff you don't see on Instagram that is happening all the time that they're doing that's quietly just getting shit done. Which also brings me to watch out for snake oil salesmen because the people who are actually getting shit done are actually getting shit done. They are too busy to brag about it, and they don't need to, because people who actually get shit done find each other. And again, most people don't have a cheat code. So when you're thinking of, especially people you admire but don't know personally, that you might want to emulate or reach out to, be a little bit cautious about that. Are they the kind of people who acknowledge the hard work of others? Nobody's done anything alone in this business. Yes, it feels solitary. It's you with a microphone and a chair. But the actual accomplishing of everything, it takes a village, as they say. And I've also found the better the salesman, the less they have to sell. So the more someone is talking about themselves and their achievements and trying to promise you the moon and the stars, like, when are they actually doing those things? They're spending all their time marketing themselves. So just kind of keep that in mind. There's the upside and the downside. Obviously the negative side of what I'm saying is some people suck and they're going to lie to you and they're going to take advantage of you. But the upside of that is, like, don't get caught up in feeling like you're behind or you missed a trick or something like that. We're all just figuring this out as we go along.